Good day, good day, good day, good day, good day, good day. Hope everyone is doing so great and amazing. Okay. Blessed Monday to everyone. Welcome to Yebo Tutor. As we are preparing for our June exams. Come on in, share the link, come on in. Let's prepare our exams together. If it's the first time to stream with us, to listen to us, please do subscribe and put the like and comment on the comment section. You can also join the WhatsApp group on the description of the video so that we can actually interact together in depth and we can provide you with question papers and everything, notify you when we are. We also have a Facebook page, Yebo Tutor NMA. Please do follow us as well as Yebo Tutor. Okay, let's just wait 2 to 3 minutes. Let's come on in. Good day once more. Let's kick the road and let's start with our session today. So today we'll be doing mathematics paper 1 revision. We have already covered paper 2. We did analytical geometry, trigonometry, Euclidean geometry, and we did more additions on those questions so that you can get the more clarity on the questions as you are writing next week on the 10th of June. Let's prepare for paper 1 together. So today we'll be doing final or sort of like last push. Yes, let me call it last push for maths paper 1 on the part for solving for X, as well as come on, talk to me, as well as number patterns. Last week we did functions and calculus, so we are almost done with our paper 1. So today we'll do number patterns and solving for X. Then next week on Monday we'll do a sample June exam. So we'll try to do the whole exam next week and see how far we are. So on the group, I think we're gonna be given that paper. We're gonna plan it and give you guys so that you practice. Then those questions which are hard, we'll tackle them together on Monday. Without wasting much time, let's get to the business of the day. So as you can see, today we'll be doing routing, question paper. So we'll be doing paper one, as you can see. So it consists of everything, it comprises of everything which I wanted. This is solving for x as well as number patterns. So we'll be tackling those two today. Right now, if you have any question, please do comment and ask your question. We are here to assist you, we are here for you. Definitely can change the way. All right, great. So we're gonna start from question number one. I hope today won't have much time. We'll just be quick as much as possible because we have already dealt with this stuff as well. So if you need more clarity or more explanation of solving for x, on Yebo Tutor we also have the video on solving for x, and also we have a video on number patterns. So do check those videos so that you get more depth clarity. Today we are focusing on questions. All right. Okay, now let's start with our session today. So question number one. So on 1.1.1, so for x, where x squared, where we're given x squared minus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. So that's the first question. We know that solving for x, that's why you must just pick up marks. Those marks are for you. Right. Great. Solving for x. So we were given this question initially. Let's solve for x. Great. So given this question which we have here, what is important or what is so essential is to understand that when solving for x, now if you don't know how to find factors, don't worry yourself, use the quadratic formula. Don't even try to find factors now. You no longer have time, you're left with 5 days only. Use the quadratic formula, the same answer will be given out. So the aim is to pass. Okay, so great. So in this instance, let's use the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula will be x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now let's substitute. We know that given this quadratic equation, we know that this is illustrating A, this is illustrating B, this is illustrating C. So now we can actually substitute all the values from our quadratic equation, equation to the quadratic formula. So the B here we're given as negative 7. So since it's negative, put it in brackets. The aim is to get marks, okay? Put it in brackets so that it doesn't affect your solution. So it's negative of negative 7 plus or minus square root of negative 7 all squared minus 4ac negative 28 over 2a. Great. Then after that, you use your calculator. Let's use our calculator. So when we use our calculator, we'll get x is equal to 5 or x is equal to 2. Then we have our marks. So if finding factors is hard for you, use the quadratic formula. It's always there. You don't have to memorize it. It's on the formula sheet which you'll be given when you're writing the exam. So what is important is to be able to use your calculator, to press your calculator so that you can get a correct answer. Okay. So initially we're given this x squared minus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. So we saw that this is a quadratic equation. So what did we do? We used the quadratic formula. So if you are someone who can actually use the factors, we're just going to have it come here. So we're going to have on the factors, we're just going to open your two brackets for the factors. So we have x, we also have x. So in order for us to get 10, it's 2 times 5. So we have 2, we also have 5. So the middle term is negative 7. So when we say 2 plus 5, we get positive 7. But when we say negative 2 and negative 5, we get negative 7. And when we say negative 2 times negative 5, we get positive 10. So that's already giving us x minus 2 is equal to 0. Or x minus 5 is equal to 0. Then your x will be equal to 2. Or your x will be equal to 5. Then you get your marks fully. So you can use one of the two methods, but method A is quadratic formula. Don't worry about many things. Quadratic formula, press your calculator, then you get your correct answer. Great. Now let's do number 1.2. On 1.2, we are given, on 1.2, what do we have? On 1.2, we are given, 1.1.2. So on 1.1.2, we are given 3x squared plus 2x plus 6 is equal to 10. Then after that, in brackets, they say that correct to 2 decimal places. The moment you see something in brackets, when you're solving for x, don't even think about anything. Don't even try to find factors. You won't find them. You use the quadratic formula. That's why we have that quadratic formula. So the moment you see anything in brackets, correct to 2 decimal places. Don't worry about anything. Use the quadratic formula. Don't try to use the factor forms because you won't get the factors. Okay, so you can use the quadratic formula or you can try to complete the square, but the easiest method is to use the quadratic formula. So let's use our quadratic formula. So we know that x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. But we know, let me just say equal to, we know that we must make sure that the equation is equal to 0. So it's going to be 3x squared plus 2x minus 4 is equal to 0 because 6 minus 10 is equal to negative 4. Then now let's substitute. What is our b? Our b is 2, our a is 3, our c is negative 4. So let's go together. What is our b? Our b is negative, it's positive 2, so it's just negative 2 plus or minus square root of 2 squared minus 4ac. Our c is negative 4. Then we divide everything by 2a. Then after that, we use our calculator to find. Then we use our calculator. Let's use our calculator so that we can actually find the values which we want. Let's use our calculator, guys. So the moment you see something on a the moment you see something, or the moment you see any bracket, don't worry yourself. When you're given solving for x, use the quadratic formula. It will definitely save your day. Okay. All right, great. Now let's what's the answer? Can someone type the answer in the comment section so that you see that we are together? Square root 2 squared 4ac over 2a. Great. So it's 0.86 or x is equal to negative 1.535. Okay, so to the nearest 2 decimal places, it will be negative 1.54. So these are our 2 answers. Okay, and after that, we get our 4 marks. All right. Now let's move forward. You see, solving for x is so good and so easy and straightforward. Okay. Now, on the next question, we are given, this is a bit tricky now, please be attentive. So we are having x to the power 1 over 2 plus 3x to the power 1 over 4 minus 28 is equal to 0. So how can you solve this question? So I will show you the method which is called the K method, you know. So I'm going to solve this question using the K method. So on the K method, now that's when now we're introducing the variable K. So bear in mind, what is important is to understand, let me just use a different color. Great. Now what is important is to understand the difference or the relationship of the exponents which you are given. So sometimes you'll be given 2 over 3 and 1 over 3. What is the relationship between these 2 exponents? So that's what is something which you're supposed to ask yourself. Maybe you are given 1 and 1 over 2. What is the relationship between the two? We know that 1 over 2 is half of 1. We also know that 1 over 3 is half of 2 over 3. So those things are so essential because they will be able to assist you to use what we call the K method. So what do we know and what is the relationship between 1.5 as well as 1 over 4? So we know that 1 over 4 is half of 1 over 2. So in other words, 1 over 2 is greater than 1 over 4. So now you take the smallest one. So in this case, the smallest one is 1 over 4. So what do? You write now this small English and say, let x to the power 1 over 4 to be equal to k. Okay, that's the first thing which you do. If you let it to be equal to k, now everything is easy for you. What do we know about 1 over 2? We know that 1 over 2 is 2 times 1 over 4. Great. So what do we do from here? Now we just substitute. So here it's 1 over 2, so it's going to be k squared plus 3k minus 28 is equal to to 0. Okay, great. Then after that, we solve for k. So in this instance, we use our factor form or we use our quadratic form. One of the two will work perfect for us. So for instance, if we're going to use a quadratic equation, so it's going to be x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. But in this equation which we have here, we are dealing with k, so we cannot substitute on the equation of x. So what can we do on the subscript or on this variable x? Now we now write k is equal to negative 3 plus or minus square root of 3 squared minus 4a times negative 28, or divided by 2a, and our a is 1. Then let's use our calculator to find k. Let's use our calculator to find a. Negative 3 plus square root 3 squared AC to 4. So we get our k is equal to 4, or our k is equal to negative 7. Then you're not yet done, because these are k values. But initially we say that let x to the power 1 over 4 be equal to k. So what do we do? So we come here and say x to the power 1 over 4 is equal to k. What is k? K is equal to 4. Or x to the power 1 over 4 is equal to negative 7. The moment it's negative, now you write this no solution. It won't have solution. So there is a mark for just writing no solution. So please don't say that because your calculator is saying that's maths error, you don't write the solution. Write that there is no solution so that you can get your mark. So now solving this 1 over 4, we know that it's equal times the same as 4 over 1 equal to 4 times 4 over 1. Okay, great. Then this and this will cancel, this and this will cancel. Then our x will be equal to 4 to the power 4. Then what is our x? 4 to the power 4, then it's 256. So this is the x value which we were looking for throughout this whole equation. This is the x which we were looking for throughout this whole equation. So let me recap it so that you can understand. So I used what we call the k method. So initially we were given x to the power 1 over 2 plus 3x minus 28 is equal to 0. So I started by looking at the relationship between 0,5 and 0,25. So 0,5 and 0,25, they share something. 0,25 is 1 over 4. 0,5 is 1 over 2. So between these two, they have something which we can use. There is something which is common. So half of 0,5 is equal to 1 over 2. So now, having that in mind, or having that relationship in mind, so in other words, 1 over 2 is 2 times greater than 1 over 4. So now that's when now we use the k method. So we look at the smaller one, which is 1 over 4, then we equate it to be equal to k. So automatically this one, which is 1 over 2, now it's going to be squared, because now this one is only k to the power 1, and we know that x to the power 1 over 2 is the same as x to the power 1 over 2 is half of x to the power 1 over 2. So having that in mind, so now the one which is half, now we now equate it to k squared. Then after that, we have the equation for k now. Then now we use our quadratic formula. So using our quadratic formula now, we'll be able to see that it's x is equal to negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. But bear in mind that the quadratic equation which you have formulated is in terms of k. So you must start by writing k is equal to, so that we can see that you are solving for k, not for x. So you write that k is equal to, then you substitute your values. Then after that, you get your k value to be equal to 4, or your k value is equal to negative 7. But initially, we say that let x to the power 1 over 4 to be equal to k. So now we are substituting back the value of k which we have calculated. So instead of writing k, now we are saying x to the power 1 over 4 is equal to 4, or x to the power 1 over 4 is equal to negative 7. Then after that, what do we do? Now we solve for x. We know that that one will be no solution. Even if you use your calculator to give you maths error. So the moment you see it's maths error, you don't write maths error, you write no solution. Then on the other part, you solve it, then you can get your x, and your x will be equal to 256. Then you get your whole 5 marks, 4 marks, just like that, just for doing those steps. Okay, great. Let's move forward to the next question which we have. So on the next question which we have, on 1.1.4, great. So 1.1.4 we are given square root of 2 minus x equal to x minus 2. So this one is 5 marks. This one is 5 marks. How can we solve this problem? This one is 5 marks. How can we solve this problem? It's easy. Let's solve this question together. All right. So the first thing which is important is to understand the relationship of sets. Okay, the relationship also of sets and just normal algebraic letters. You must also understand the relationship of when we square something, or understand the exponents when we are talking about something like this. So this is where we are right now. So what do we do from this step? This is what's important. So we first square both sides so that we remove the square root. Then now we have 2 minus x is equal to x minus 2 times x minus 2. Then now we can simplify. X minus 2 is the same. X times x, x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 2, it's positive 4. 2 minus x is equal to x squared minus 4x plus 4. Then now we group like terms. 0, x squared minus 4x plus x plus 4 minus 2. Then 0 will be equal to x squared minus 3x plus 2. Then now we can see that this is something which we are used to. This is now a quadratic formula. Let me just recap something fast. So the initial step when you are given a question like this, you start by squaring both sides so that you can remove the square root. Then after we remove the square root, we solve the other side, because now it's now squared. So we know that something squared, you repeat something twice so that it's now squared. Then after that we solve and we expand those two brackets by using the expansion form way, or you can solve in a different way which will work perfectly for you. But I always advise that you use the expansion method so that you don't do any mistakes. So x times x will be x squared. Then x times negative 2 is negative 2x. Negative 2 times x, it's negative 2x. Then negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Then grouping like terms, negative 2 minus negative 2, it's negative 4x. Then we transpose 2 and negative x to the right hand side so that we can group all the like terms. So since x is negative on the left hand side, so when it's transposed to the right hand side, it's going to be positive. And since 2 it's negative, it's positive on the left hand side. When it's on the right hand side, it's now negative. Then after that we see that we now have a nice quadratic equation, which is x squared minus 3x plus 2. Then now we use our quadratic formula, or we find factors. So in this instance, let's try to use our quadratic formula. So you can use your quadratic formula, or you can use your factor form. So when we are using just general, let's use factors this time to prevent wastage of time. So when we are using factors, we know that it's going to be x and x. So now we can say that we have 2 and 1. So negative 2 and negative 1, they give us negative 3. Negative 2 minus 3 is negative 3. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. Great. So now we already know that x minus 2 is equal to 0, or x minus 1 is equal to 0. Then our x will be equal to positive 2, or our x is equal to positive 1. But you are not yet done. These are your x values, but you must go and substitute them in the original form, or in the original equation which you have been given, so that you can see which one is the correct value of x, which will balance the equation which you're given. So when x is equal to 2, so 2 minus 2 is equal to 0. So square root of 0 is equal to 0. Great. Then 2 minus 2 is also equal to 0, which means x is equal to 2 is correct. Let's now try 1. 2 minus 1 is 1, and square root of 1 is equal to 1. Then 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So now it's 1 and negative 1. So we can see that these two are not equivalent to each other. Then now you must conclude that therefore your x will be equal to positive 2, so that you can get a answer for this. All right, so you got your two x values. Then after that, you substitute those two x values in the original equation which they gave you, so that you can see which x value is correct. We only do this when we are having, or when we are dealing with the square root. when we are solving questions in this kind of format, so that we can actually get the value. But you can also do it also for the other steps. So you can substitute your x value so that you just see that your answer is correct. But in others, you'll be just like wasting your time because you don't have time. Bear in mind that you don't have time. But in this instance where there is a square root, it's a must because you must conclude which correct value of x is it. All right. So that's the question which we have. So now let's move forward together. Let's move forward. So now we are now dealing with question number 1.2. We're almost there. 1.2. So doing 1.2. So we are given 3x squared plus kx minus 3x minus k is equal to 0. For which values of k will the equation have real roots? So this is what we call the nature of roots. There is this section of nature of roots. Okay. So on the section of nature of roots, what is important is to understand that on the nature of roots, we only have to know, or we only have to understand the fact that from our quadratic equation, which says that x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. So here what we have inside here under the square root is what we look at when we are looking at the determinants, because now what is important is to understand that the determinant, which is illustrated by this change, is equal to b squared minus 4ac. So b squared minus 4ac is coming from our quadratic equation. So this is the determinant or the discriminant. So now they say that given this 3x squared plus kx minus 3x minus k is equal to 0. Now, for which values of k will the equation have the real roots? So what do we understand about the real roots? We know that when we're talking about the real roots, the determinant must be greater than 0. So what is the determinant? The determinant is b squared minus 4ac must be greater than 0. Then now, from the equation which we have been given now, we must be able to take the value of b, the value of a, and the value of c. So we were given, just do this as well. So we were given 3x squared plus kx minus 3x minus k is equal to 0. Then we can see these two, they have something in common. So let's take out the common factor. 3x squared plus k minus 3x minus k is equal to 0. So we know that from the original quadratic formula, it says that ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So this is now b. This is our b. This is our c. This is our a. So now we say that when we are in need of real roots, the determinant must be greater than 0, and the determinant is b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0. What is our b? Our b is k minus 3 all squared minus 4. What is our a? Our a is 3. What is our c? It's negative k greater than 0. Then from this step, we solve. I usually love to just say that critical values so that it's now better for you. So the critical values will be k minus 3 all squared minus, let's just say plus 12k. Okay. Because 4 times 3 is 12. Then negative 12 times negative k is positive 12k. Then it's equal to 0. So applying the knowledge that now we are using critical values, what does that mean? That means that we are letting our equation be equal to 0. Then now this is k minus 3 squared. So k minus 3 squared is the knowledge which we know that k minus 3 and k minus 3 plus 12k is equal to 0. Then k times k is k squared minus 3k plus 9 plus 12k is equal to 0. Then we now have k squared minus 6k plus 9 plus 12k is equal to 0. Then negative 6 plus 12 is going to be positive 6k plus 9 is equal to 0. Then after that, we can see that this is now a quadratic equation. So we can now solve our quadratic equation. So solving this quadratic equation, let's just use our factor form. So you can also use the quadratic formula so that you can get the correct answers. So it's going to be k 3 positive because 3 plus 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is positive 6 as well, equal to 0. So our k will be equal to negative 3, or our k will be equal to negative 3. So after that, we can see that our k values are the same. We can see that our k values are the same. So we can say that the determinant must be greater than negative 3. So therefore, the determinant must be greater than negative 3, because this is the k value which we were looking for. Then after that, you get the values. Sorry. So they asked that for which values of k. So the values of k will be k equal to negative 3. Okay. So recap again. So what did we had? So what is important is to be able to analyze the question. What are you asked to calculate? Okay. So in this instance, they say that calculate the value for k for which it will make this equation real. So now, what do we know about real roots? We know that the real roots, the determinant of a real root is greater than 0. So now, having that in mind, how do we calculate the determinant of a quadratic equation? Then now, in your mindset, you must have the set that you use that b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0. Then after that, you solve. Okay. Then after that, you get your k values to be negative 3 or negative 3. Okay. Then after that, you get your level 7 just for doing something like that, something closer to that. Great. 1.3. The idea is to get all the total 25 marks on solving for x, because that's where the marks are so easy to get. Okay. So on this part now, solve for x and y simultaneously. So we are given 3y plus x is equal to 5. So that just make that equation 1. Then we are also given x squared plus y squared is equal to 100 plus 5y. Then make that to be equal our equation number 2. So having that in mind now, this is now making our life easy. So what you're supposed to do is to make equation number 3. So now let's make equation number 3 together. Great. So now let's take from the linear equation on equation number 1. So you can just write this small English that from 1. Okay, so that we understand where are you taking this equation. Let's make x the subject of the formula. X will be equal to 5 minus 3y. This will be our equation number 3. Then after that, you say that substitute 3 into 2. So now let's substitute equation number 3 into 2. So where there is x, now we put 5 minus 3y all squared plus y squared is equal to 100 plus 5y. Then from that, we know that 5 minus 3y, when it's squared, it's the same as 5 minus 3y in this format, plus y squared is equal to 100 plus 5y. Then after that, let's solve 5 times 5, it's 25. 5 times negative 3, it's negative 15y. Negative 3 times 5, negative 15y as well. Negative 3 times negative 3, it's positive 9y squared. Plus y squared is equal to 100 plus 5y. Now let's group all the like terms. So we will have 25 minus 30y plus 10y squared minus 100 minus 5y equal to 0. Then now we have our 10y squared. Then negative 30 minus 5y is negative 35y. Great. Then 25 minus 100, that's negative 75 equal to 0. Then now we can actually see that this is our quadratic equation. So since this is a quadratic equation, we can actually solve this quadratic equation by using the quadratic formula, or let's just divide through. So we can just use x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Now, in this instance, we are solving for y, so we cannot say x. So now we change the variable to y. And where is our b? We substitute our negative 35 there, plus or minus square root of negative 35, all squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. Okay. Then after that, we can use our calculator to get the y values. Let me use my calculator as well. Use yours as well, so that we get correct answers together. For AC over 2A. So I got my y equal to 5 or y equal to for y equal to negative 3 over 2. So now we have the y values. Now we must be able to calculate the x values. So we said from equation number 3, our x is equal to 5 minus 3y. So now just write this small English that substitute y in equation number 3. So x is equal to 5 minus 3y. In this instance, we substitute by 5, or x will be equal to 5 minus 3 times negative 3 over 2. Then this will be 5 minus 15, that's negative 10, or x will be equal to 5 minus 3. Then after that, using your calculator, then we get 19 over 2. So these are your x values. Okay, so you can actually write in a coordinate form. That's negative 10 and 5. Or we also have 19 over 2 and negative 3 over 2. Then you get your 25 marks total by doing so. Okay, then everyone is happy. So that was my solving for x, guys. That was my solving for x. Right, now let's look at number patterns. I'm gonna do these number patterns. There are not many. In no time we will be done. Question 2. Great. So on question 2, we are given this sequence. Consider the sequence: 4 is to 11 is to 22 is to 37. Now they say calculate the nth term. Then what's the nth term? Nth term is the general formula of the equation. So from here, what do we do? So now let's look at, does it have a first common difference or it has a second common difference? So that's what's important now. Does it have the first or the second constant difference? All right. This 11 minus 4, it's 7. 22 minus 11, it's 11. 37 minus 22, it's 15. Great. We can see that it doesn't have a first common difference, which means it's not an arithmetic sequence. So if it's not an arithmetic sequence, it's now a quadratic equation. The difference between the two is that a quadratic equation is a quadratic pattern is a pattern which has a second constant difference. So now, since the first difference is not common or it's not the same, which means that it's not an arithmetic sequence, it's now a quadratic sequence. Let's check. Let's just prove that now. So 11 minus 7 is 4. 15 minus 11 is also 4. So it has a second constant difference. So coming to 2.1.1, they say that calculate the nth term. So the nth term for an quadratic pattern is an squared plus bn plus c. Now, how can you find our a? It's easy. We know that 2a is equal to d. What is d? D is the second common difference, which is equivalent to 2. So 2a will be equal to 4. Then our a will be equal to 4 divided by 2. Then your a will be equal to positive 2. Then now we want the value of b. Then we say 3a plus b is equal to t2 minus t1. What is our a? Our a is the value which we have already calculated. In this case is 2. So it's 3 times 2 plus b is equal to t2 minus t1. We got t2 minus t1 here, and it was equal to 7. Then we come here and substitute nicely and say it's equal to 7. Then 3 times 2 is 6 plus b is equal to 7. Then make b the subject of the formula. Then b is equal to 7 minus 6. Then 7 minus 6 is equal to 1. Then now we have our value for a. We now have the value of b. We are only left with the value of c. How can we find c? A plus b plus c is equal to t1. What is a? Our a is 2, b is 1, and c is what we want to calculate. And what is our t1? T1 is illustrating the term 1, or the first term which we have on the sequence. So in this instance, it's equal to 4. Since it's equal to 4, then 2 plus 1 is equal to 3, plus c is equal to 4. Then your c will be equal to 4 minus 3, then you get your 1. Then therefore, Tn is equal to, what is our a? It's 2n squared plus bn plus c. What is b? Our b is 1. What is c? Our c is 1. Then after that, you can actually see that your Tn is equal to 2n squared plus n plus 1. Never leave without writing this. This is what they asked you. They didn't ask you the value of A, they didn't ask you the value of B, they didn't ask you the value of C, but they asked you the quadratic, they asked you the quadratic nth term or the general term. So you must leave your answer in the general term. So you use the value of A, which you have calculated, as well as the value of B, which you also calculated, so that you can actually find out the Tnth formula. So that was that, and you get your 4 marks just like that. Easy peasy, right? So what is important is to understand what is the question and what does the question want. 2.1.2, which term in the sequence has the value of 407? So which term, which means we must calculate the value of n, because now we are given Tn to be equal to 407. Let me just give you this trick. They will never ask you something like this, then they put 2 marks. When they put 2 marks, which means they just want you to substitute that value. If they say calculate T10 like this, what they say that the 10th term, that's where they put 2 marks. But when they give 4 marks, we must know that you are given Tn to be 407. But what do we know about the Tn? We know that Tn is equal to 2n squared plus n plus 1 from what we have already calculated before. Then we equate it to 407. Then now we make 2n squared plus n, then 1 minus, then to be negative 406 equal to 0. Then this is now a quadratic formula. So you must master your x so that you can solve for your number patterns. Okay, now use your quadratic formula. X is equal to negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Then now let's go. In this instance, we are given n. So we cannot just go and write x. So we must change the variable to n. Then now let's substitute this negative 1 plus or minus 1 squared minus 4ac. Great. Oh, divided by 2a. Oh, great. Now we use our calculator. We use our calculator to solve problems. Okay. Don't worry about many things. Quadratic formula is always there to save your day. So we have negative 1 plus square root of 1 squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Then we get n is equal to 14, or n is equal to negative 29 over 2. What is important is to understand that n can never be negative. N can never be in a fraction, because I cannot say and count you and say that when you're in class, then I say half, 1. So if it's in fraction, that's wrong. I cannot also not come to class and say that you are negative 1, you are negative 2. So that's why I was saying that our n is always positive. So therefore, your n is equal to positive 14. So make sure that you conclude, even if you found the two values of n, conclude and understand or explain or show that you understand what you are answering. So in this instance, our n is equal to 14. 2.2. Now, how many terms are there in the following arithmetic sequence? So we are given 40 is to 46 is to 52 is to 58, then 202. Great. So from here, what do we do? So this is the sequence which we are given. They say that how many terms are in this sequence. So how do you solve this problem? This problem, you solve it in an easy way. All right. So they told you that this is an arithmetic sequence. So what do you know about an arithmetic sequence? That's what is supposed to come to your mind first. So what is important is to understand the back or the content. Okay. Analyze it properly. So they say that this is an arithmetic sequence. So what do we know about an arithmetic sequence? We know that the general term is Tn is equal to a plus n minus 1 times d. Now they're saying how many terms are there? Now on the sequence which we have here, they gave us the last term. So this will actually assist us to know how many terms are in the sequence. So now we first calculate the Tn. So how do we calculate the Tn? We must understand that. Okay, what is our d? Our d will be 46 minus 40, it's 6. This will be also 6. Bear in mind that the arithmetic sequence has a first constant difference. So now let's substitute now. It will be Tn will be equal to, what is a? A is the first term of the sequence. In this case, it's 40 plus n minus 1 times 6. Then it will be 40 plus 6n minus 6. Then that would therefore be 6n plus 40 minus 6, guys. 40 minus 6, that's 34. So this is our Tn. Now having the Tn, now they say that how many terms are there? And they gave us the last term, which is equal to 202. So in that instance, we substitute 202 here because that's the last term, so that you can get how many terms are there in the sequence. Then 202 minus 34 is equal to 6n. Then 202 minus the answer, then we get 168 equal to 6n. Then we divide both sides by 6. Divide both sides by 6. You can actually see that your answer can never be negative. Then therefore n is equal to 28. So there are 28 terms in this sequence. So how did we calculate this? So we analyzed it and they told that this is an arithmetic sequence. Now we ask ourselves, what is an arithmetic sequence? An arithmetic sequence is a sequence which has a first constant difference, and it is calculated using the general term, which is Tn is equal to a plus n minus 1 all multiplied by d. Then after that, they gave us the last term. So if they gave us the first term and the last term, we can actually calculate how many terms are inside. For instance, from 1 to 100, how many numbers are there? There are 100 numbers. So that concept is what we used also in this instance, right? So after that, we found our Tn. Then after we found our Tn, now we use the last term, which we were given to be 202, so that we can actually get the value of n. Then after that, our n was equal to 28. Then you get your 3 marks. Then you see that it's soft life. You enjoy life. You get that mark, you are done. All right, great. Now let's move to the last question of the day. Last question of the day. Nice one. Nice one. Question 3. Question 3. Question 3. On question 3, what are they saying? They're saying that on the question 3, the first 3.1, they're saying that the fourth term of the arithmetic sequence is -3. So the T4 of the arithmetic sequence is -3. Underline that part. They said it's an arithmetic sequence. So you must understand that it's an arithmetic sequence. And also T20 is equal to -35. Then determine the common difference in the first term. How do you do that, guys? It's easy. It's easy. Let me show you how you do it. Okay. Maths is nice. You just have to analyze the questions and solve the problems properly. Great. So they told us this is an arithmetic sequence. So since it's an arithmetic sequence, we know that Tn is equal to a plus n minus 1 times d. So in this case, they told that T4 is -3. So term number 4 is equal to a plus, where there is n now, we substitute with 4. 4 minus 1 times d must give us -3. So this will be a plus 3d is equal to -3. Wow. Then this is our equation number 1. Just like that. Then also we use the same equation to find the expression for T20. So T20 will be equal to a plus 20 minus 1 times d is equal to -35. Then now it's going to be a plus 19d is equal to -35. This will be our equation number 2. Now let's make equation number 3. So in other words, we'll be solving this simultaneously. So we can make that from a, okay, let's say from 1, which is equation 1, a will be equal to -3 plus minus 3d. This will be our equation number 3. Then we substitute 3 into 2. Then it will be a plus, where there is a, we put -3 minus 3d plus 19d is equal to -35. Then -3d plus 19, -3 plus 19, then we get +16. d is equal to negative 35 plus 3, then we get negative 32. Then divide both sides by 16, divide both sides by 16, then your d will be equal to negative 2. Then therefore we can find our a. Our a will be equal to negative 3 minus 3 times negative 2. Then our a will be negative 3 minus 3 times negative 2. Then we get positive 3. So this is our a and this is our d. So how did we solve this problem? We started by looking at the expression and analyzing the question which we were given. So they told us this is an arithmetic sequence. So my mind or our mind should run to the fact that this is an arithmetic sequence. So since it's an arithmetic sequence, your mind must go straight to the general term of the sequence. So we know the general term. Now we can now substitute so that we can get the variables or the expressions of this sequence. So T4 is a plus 4 minus 1 times d. Then we get our answer. Then we solve simultaneously. So the key to us passing maths is understanding the solving for x part. Okay. Then 3.2, they say that evaluate that sum. So we're given the sum as k is equal to 1 to 20 of 3k minus 2. So in this end, this sigma is representing sum. So in other words, we must calculate the sum of that geometric sequence. Let's do it. So the first thing is to know the sequence. So we substitute by 1 there. So it's going to be 3 to the power 1 minus 2. Then we get 1 over 3 plus. Then we substitute 2 there. We get 1 plus. We substitute 3 there. Then we get 3. We substitute 4 there. Then we get plus 9. Then plus up to 20 terms, because 20 is the last term. Okay. Then after that, we want to calculate. We must know our r. Our r is t2 divided by t1, which is 1 divided by 1 over 3. Then our r will be equal to 3. Then after that, what do? We know, or we understand the fact that the sum of a geometric series is a, then rn minus 1, or divided by r minus 1. So in this case, we say that up to 20 terms. So it's going to be S20 is equal to, what is A? A is the first term, which is 1 over 3. R, it's 3 to the power of 20 minus 1, all divided by R minus 1, which is equal to 3 minus 1. Then we use our calculator. Then we find the solution to that problem. Let me just use the calculator. This was the last question of the day. 1 over 3, then it's 3 to the power 20 minus 1, or divided by 3 minus 1. Then you must get 586,13 times 10 to the power 6. So you can leave it in this format, okay? Then you get your answer. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It was an amazing session which we had. I wish you all the best. Keep on practicing. Keep us busy. Ask us questions. We are here for you. We are here to assist you. Have a blessed night, and may God be with you. Dango.